Hi, welcome to our first online lesson. And in this online lesson, our first online lesson, we'll be talking about used to. There are several things that we'll be talking about. The first is its meaning. Okay. The second is the examples of how it is used, and then we try to compare it with other similar things like the main verb use, and then uh, be used to, and then get used to. Well, let's go to the definition of used to. Actually, used to is a synonym for accustomed to, okay, or habituated to. It shows your habit, okay. It is to show a form of fact, habit, or action, and it indicates something that happened in the past but no longer does. In other words, it was your habit in the past, but it is no longer your habit now or at present. Okay, it's clear, right? Let's see some examples of how it is used. I've got three examples here, pay attention. The first sentence, the grocery store used to be at the corner of Main and Fifth. Used to. And Main and Fifth here are names of addresses or location. The second sentence, Carl used to work out every morning. Used to work out every morning, but he has been too busy to keep up with it. So he does not do it again. Okay, my father used to take a donkey to school. It's funny, right? Used to. Then if I ask you a question about whether the use of used to is similar or different among the three sentences, how would you answer my question? Or in other words, do you see any difference in terms of how used to is used among these three sentences? Is there any difference? Yeah, there is a little difference, a slight difference. Okay, look at here the first sentence. Used to here is followed by be. Meanwhile, in the second and the third sentences, we don't have any be after used to, right? Okay. The question is, why is it so? Okay, pay attention. What follows used to? In the first sentence, used to is followed by an adverb of place at the corner of Main and Fifth. In the second sentence, it is followed by a verb, work out. Okay. In the third sentence, it is followed by take. Can you make a conclusion? Okay, good. Whenever used to is followed by a verb, we don't need any be, right? But whenever it is followed by a phrase other than a verb, then it should be followed by a be. And look at the be. It is called a bare infinitive. Okay? Bare infinitive. Infinitive without to. Why don't we need any to? Because used to itself has contained to. Okay? So it's impossible to have double to, right? Next, how used to is used in interrogative and negative sentences. Okay, that's a good question. Look at the first sentence here, and this is the second sentence. Okay, in the second box. Did your father used to take his donkey to school? Okay, it's a funny question, right? Did your father used to take his donkey to school? What happens with used to here? We don't have the letter D, right? Right here, look at here, we have the letter D here. But whenever we have the interrogative sentence, the letter D is moved to the did, the auxiliary that we need to form an interrogative, right? So used to here is without letter D. Pay attention to that. In the same way, when we form a negative sentence with used to, because we need the auxiliary did, the used to here is also without D. And the did should be added with not, because we want to form a negative sentence. My father didn't used to take his donkey to school on Mondays because it was needed at the farm. I think it's clear, right? Good. Let's move to the comparison of used to with use, the main verb use. I've got two sentences to compare with each other here. The first one is I used to eat with fork and knife. We used to, right? Okay, so it shows our habit, your habit in the past. What about the second sentence? I use my bare hand. We don't have use plus two directly here, but the two is a bit far away and it's separated by an object, bare hand, okay? So it's not used to, okay? In other words, it doesn't show a habit, your habit in past. So it's only a random action, okay? It only a random action that you did in the past, maybe one time only or two times only, okay? Not necessarily a habit. I think it's clear, right? Good. Now, used to versus get used to. I also have two sentences here. Okay, I used to eat with my bare hand. Now it's your habit. It was your habit in the past, I mean, because right here we used to, okay? We used to. It shows your habit in the past. Look at the second sentence. I'm getting used to eating with a fork and knife. I'm getting used to eating with a fork and knife. Look at the tense. It's simple, present simple, right? Okay. What does it mean? I'm getting used to eating. It means that now you are learning something new, different from your previous habit. You learn something new. You want to move away from your previous habit. You want to make a change. So now you are learning to eat with a fork and knife. Okay. Now you are learning to use a fork and knife when eating. But it's not yet your habit. But you are getting better with it. Okay? So you should say, I'm getting used to eating with a fork and knife. Something that you need to memorize is after used to here. You should use verb in whenever there is a verb following it. Okay? So I'm getting used to eating, not to eat. Remember that. Is it clear? Good. And remember, verb in can be considered as a noun. Okay? That's why you could, for example, replace this part, eating, with it. So I'm getting used to it. It here refers to eating with a fork and knife. Okay, good. Now let's move to our last subtopic in this lesson, that is used to versus be used to. Remember previously when we use I'm getting used to eating with a fork and knife. Eating with a fork and knife is something new that you are learning now, but it's not yet your habit. But now when it is already your habit now, when it is already your habit now, it means that you have completely moved away from your past habit or previous habit. Then you should use be used to plus verb in. Now is your habit. You have completely changed from your previous habit. Okay? So imagine that in the past you didn't used to eat the fork and knife, but now you have learned something new. You have mastered it, eating with a fork and knife. Then you should express it by using be used to. Remember, you should have the be part. Okay? So I'm used to eating with a fork and knife. You are talking about your friend. Imagine that she is a girl, then you should say she's used to eating with a fork and knife. Good. The last part. This is really the last part. I have two pairs of sentences. The first one is the incorrect one. The second part is the correct one. Okay? Have a look at it. Horseback riding was frightening to me at first, but now I'm used to it. Is considered as incorrect. Why? Because when you want to show a new habit that you have completely learned, you should use with the. Okay, remember, use with the. Used it. Okay. In the second sentence, horseback riding is frightening for me, but I will get used to it. Okay. You're sure that you will get used to it. Remember, when you use get used to show a change of action, then you should use with the. Okay. Get used. So the tips: avoid writing I'm used to or get used to it. Always include the I am used to it and get used to it. Another important thing is whenever there is a verb following either used to or get used to, the verb should be in the form of ing verb or verb ing. I hope you understand it clearly. That's it, our lesson. Thank you very much.